I wanted to start. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in the news, but it all kind of echoes around this same theme, and that theme arguably is Donald Trump up to the presidency? I mean, as a country, I was going to say setting aside party, but I don't think that Republicans or Democrats, frankly, are going to be willing to do that. But is Donald Trump so temperamentally unfit to be president that there should be some sort of a campaign to encourage Mike Pence and his cabinet to invoke the 25th Amendment? Or will this simply take care of itself with the impeachment hearings? It's increasingly looking like, at the very least, the Trump organization, with all these, or Paul Manafort, or both, with all of these Trump properties that were bought for millions and millions of dollars with cash. That's very often, not always, and not necessarily in this case, but very often the sign of a money laundering operation. And, real estate deals have gotten, basically as a result of lobbying here in Washington, D.C., giving money to members of Congress, real estate developers like Donald Trump not only enjoy mind-boggling tax benefits. I mean, 20 years without paying anything except the minimum income tax, or the alternative minimum tax, the ATM, or AMT. But in addition to that, there's all these, like if you put $10 million into a bank account, you would have to disclose it to the IRS. If you put $10 million into a piece of property, you don't. And the developer doesn't have to. And that's, or at least that's my understanding of the law. And, this is something that has worked tremendously to his benefit. So, if it turns out the Trump organization has been engaged in money laundering or something else, collusion with Russia to flip an election, whatever it may be. I mean, it's all these things are, being investigated. And what could come out of, God only knows. But whether it's the impeachment process or whether it's the 25th Amendment, I don't know of any other mechanism to remove him from office. But I think the entire world is starting to look at us and go, your president is making us nervous. Your president is making us less safe. Your president, they are saying to us, is a fool and making America a laughingstock on the world stage. Do something, they're saying. So what do we do? I mean, do we stop? You can't call the cat. You can call Congress 202-224-3121 and say, hey, it's time to impeach Trump. But he hasn't. I mean, the impeachment. Yes, the impeachment process is a political process, but there has to be some legal basis to it. In the Constitution, it requires high crimes or misdemeanors. You can't just impeach somebody because you think they're stupid, or they have a short attention span, or they require 2 briefings a day where all of the briefing papers are pictures of them, with smiling faces and things. It's, which is actually a thing, apparently. Trump gets these, Obama used to get them every day. It'd be a collection of newspaper reports about what's going on in the world. And the whole idea was to give him a profile, a cross-section. In fact, I recall back when Lamar and I were working on John Kennedy, on the book about the Kennedy assassination, Jack Kennedy used to get a daily briefing about what was in the newspapers. And it would be, okay, here's the, an attack on unions going on. And here, the Soviet Union said so-and-so. And the Treasury Secretary thinks this and that. And here's what's happening in the market, in the stock markets. And here's what's happening in the labor markets. And, it'd just be a kind of a roundup of the day's news. Not classified, just also, so the president has an understanding of what the American people are understanding. And I'm assuming it started long before Jack Kennedy. In fact, I'd be surprised if it didn't start with the FDR administration. FDR is a very media-savvy president. And so all the way from way back when until Barack Obama, the president once a day would get a folder filled with copies, or it used to be tear sheets during the Kennedy administration. They'd actually just tear the pages out of the newspaper. And here would be, you know, copiers were much more expensive to make. It was much more difficult and expensive to make copies back then. But, you know, here are the stories of the day. But Trump has changed that to every day he has to have 2 folders delivered to him, at least according to the news reports we're reading. And they have to be all about him. Pictures of, you know, literally screenshots from TV shows with his smiling face or a chyron, you know, the lower third, the words on the lower third of the screen that says something nice about him. It's all, you know, any articles, you know, Donald Trump is a genius, that kind of headline, that'll make it into his daily briefing, as it were. So people are looking at us going, this is wrong. Meanwhile, North Korea, you know, Donald Trump, his fire and fury thing, North Korea says, this is a load of nonsense. They know a bluff when they see one. They've been bluffing for what, 60 years? They understand bluff. The problem is the United States should never bluff. Teddy Roosevelt articulated this in 1900, you know, walk softly and carry a big stick. When the United States bluffs, it diminishes our credibility. It diminishes our power in the world. If you're going to take somebody out, take them out. But if you're not going to take them out, don't threaten to. It just makes you look weak. Very strange. And then on top of that, after threatening to take out North Korea, Donald Trump goes on to say, you know, my first order as president was to renovate and modernize our nuclear arsenal. It's now stronger and more powerful than ever before. No, actually, that was Obama. President Obama, you know, put forward the order to upgrade, and by upgrade, I mean modernize our nuclear forces. And Congress, you know, allocated billions of dollars to do this. To the best of my knowledge, Trump has done no executive orders or other orders to that effect. I think he's just claiming credit for something that Obama did. But as a consequence of these kind of fundamentally stupid statements that we now know, literally Trump pulled this out of his backside. He didn't consult with anybody. And he's surrounding himself with generals who actually understand how the world works, and he clearly doesn't. That, oh yeah, you know, we should have a preventative war. What did Sarah Sanders say? The words were his own. Right. The tone and strength of the message was discussed beforehand. Yes, we're going to say something firm. Well, you don't give Donald Trump generalities like, hey, be firm. Because he thinks be firm means, I'm going to threaten to burn your house down. No, be firm is, you know, don't do that or there will be consequences, and you will not like the consequences. So anyway, we've got that bizarre stuff going on in Cuba. American diplomats losing their hearing. Nobody knows why. The FBI raided Paul Manafort's home. This is now coming out. It turns out this was on July 26th. This was about 2 weeks ago. And this was a no-knock warrant. I mean, they kicked down the door. Pretty amazing. Documents are said to include notes Manafort took while attending a meeting with Don Trump Jr. and a Russian lawyer at Trump Tower in June of 2016. You know, quack, quack, quack. So, and there's a 36-foot inflatable chicken outside the White House. Did you see this yesterday? This chicken has been following Donald Trump around, you know, at events saying, are you chicken to show us your tax returns? Why are you chicken to turn? You know, it's a chicken with Trump hair. It's pretty amazing. You haven't seen this. And now Donald Trump is getting into a war with Mitch McConnell, a guy that he's going to need if there's an impeachment trial. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. So what do we do about this?